actually very smart. Where there is opportunity, they will find a way to get to that opportunity. Right? You agree with me? Now the more hurdles you place in the path of private entrepreneurial spirit are only going to create more distortions in the system. The issue that the government must face, it is not that they are not aware of it, but nobody is willing to take the hard decisions that are required to solve this problem. But the problem itself is not very difficult to solve. It is a question of merely shedding our ideological baggage. No, it's most apparent in this education sector. Yes, we've had a long history of being more socialistic, more welfare oriented society. But the best way to ensure welfare of the customer is firstly to give customer the choice. That choice merely cannot come from either government capital and expertise or non-profit and philanthropic capital and expertise. As Sushma ji very rightly pointed out, a lot of the funding that is going today in the guise of non-profit is actually profit-seeking capital. It's time that we stood up, called a spade, and created a set of regulations that work for everyone. And most importantly, they work for the consumer. Across the history of commercial enterprise in the world, if you look at the history of commercial enterprise in the world, there is only one thing that competition has helped do: increase quality and reduce prices. Isn't that right? So the focus of the government has to be, how do we ensure more players coming in rather than restricting the number of players coming in? I am very hopeful, I am very optimistic. I know that it is not a matter of whether it is going to happen or not. The question is only when it is going to happen. Because we are faced with a national emergency. Unfortunately, in our country, we do not act until the emergency is staring at us in the face. But I think the time has come. It's 2011 for God's sake right now. If we don't act now, perhaps it will be too late for us to act. Consumers are very smart to think that any consumer today is willing to be exploited. One of the oft repeated arguments against the private sector is that the for-profit private sector is going to exploit the consumer. Anybody who runs an education business today knows that the customer is extremely discerning. When it comes to the matter of choosing a college or a school for your child, how much research do you think the customer is doing? Customer is doing hell of a lot of research. All of you are participants in the education industry, but you are also consumers of education yourself, aren't you? For your children and so on and so forth. Are you willing to be exploited? No consumer today is willing to be exploited, to be very honest with you. Competition is a regulatory mechanism by itself. And this has been proven time and again. So, I think, Ravi, the issue is that sooner or later, just through the churn of ideas, thought processes, debate that is happening today, and the alarming statistics that we see about the state of education in a country, some of these things are going to get resolved. So that matter, I think, is more or less settled, that it's absolutely going to happen. Okay. Let us now just spend 1 minute on looking at some of the challenges. It is not merely enough to say that we pass a small amendment and allow the private sector to come in whichever shape and form that the private sector wants, as a private limited company, a limited company, section 25 company, society, trust, whatever it is. Okay, I think that is going to happen. I think the bigger issue is, how do we create a framework that encourages and incentivizes all the stakeholders, government, for-profit, not-for-profit, to put the best foot forward for the consumer. Now, EduComp, the company that I founded, we help run a number of schools by providing them infrastructure and so on. Do you know that it takes 28 different licenses to set up a school? It sounds ridiculous, but that is absolutely the fact in this country. So we have to go much beyond simply solving the private sector debate. We have to solve much more beyond that. We have to look at what is the regulatory framework, what licenses, what permissions, and so on and so forth. As Sushma ji very rightly said, the education system today is the last bastion of the license permit Raj. The sooner we dismantle it, the better it is for the consumer. Because after all, what is the government saying? That government is saying we are doing all this to protect the consumer. But ask the consumer, is the consumer being protected or is the consumer being exploited? The point that I want you to think about is the fact that some of this regulatory environment is actually helping exploit the consumer. We passed a law recently. It's called the Right to Education Act. We must also think of rewording that law as Right to the Choice of Education Act. Why should the choice of the consumer be restricted to only certain kinds of organizations? So I'm going to leave you with this thought right now. It's a very important thing as citizens of this country. We must all think very deeply about it, and more than think, we must do something about it for all of us, because the group that is assembled here is the group that is a huge influencing factor on the business of education, on the enterprise of education in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Shantanu. I think very well said. The right to choose, consumer, I think they were the key words. Next speaker is Meena Ganesh, again a very, very illustrious person from being associated with a company called Tutor Vista, which I think reinvented the way US students got tutoring to associated with EduRite and many other ventures. So I will I like to have a perspective on education industry as a whole, from global to local and glocal actually. Yeah, how are you looking at it?
Thank you, Ravi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be here with all of you today. It's always a hard act to follow Shantanu, but we are right there in more ways than one. So anyway, jokes apart. Jokes apart, my take on education in India and the challenges and opportunities, it's at two levels. One, of course, we all talk about the access issue, but I'd like to spend more time talking about the quality issue. And actually, I come to this more from my experience as a person who's been in the services industry for many years, whether it's IT or ITES sector. And one of the big challenges that I have found is that the kind of people that we churn out from our school and colleges are people who are very happy to follow instructions, who like to be told what to do, and who will do what they are told. But you know, if we have these grandiose dreams of becoming the labor pool of the whole globe, we have fantastic demographic dividend and so on and so forth. But frankly, that would be a very tall claim unless something changes, because the global workforce or the global pool that we are trying to become part of needs something beyond a person who can follow instructions. And this is not something which is a fundamental DNA problem with us as a nation. I think it's more the way we educate our children, where they sit in classrooms, they take notes, and then they go learn those notes and come back and regurgitate and get those marks and feel that they are educated. So there is a fundamental change that needs to happen in how the children are educated. And this is something which cannot happen at one level. There are multiple dimensions to this that have to happen, whether it is using better methodologies, using of technology, training our teachers differently, giving them the aids so that they can teach more effectively. And the simple question that I ask my 12-year-old son is, I talk to him and say, which teacher are you comfortable with and why and whatnot. He says, so-and-so teacher, I don't like her classes. I say, why? All I see, Ma, is her back. all the time she's writing on the board and I'm copying down. I mean, and he's studies in all the top schools, so it's best of the schools. But the system is such that the teachers are not getting the aids, they're not getting the tools, and they're not getting the exposure to be able to teach in a more effective manner. And what that also, it needs a confidence in the teacher to allow a child to explore and learn. So bringing about some of these changes, whether through technology or through a different pedagogy or by using a different delivery mechanism in the classroom, or by encouraging the teachers to engage the children and actually allow them to question, to explore, that is, in my view, that's a very, very critical change that needs to happen in our education sector for our children to be effective. It doesn't take away from the fact that they need all that practice, and we talk about the book Tiger Mom, all of us know about that, I'm sure, that it is very important for our children to practice, some parts of the rote learning are important, but there are other aspects also. Now, in that backdrop of the need to bring about some significant qualitative changes, I do believe that private enterprise has a big role to play. And this role is because a lot of companies and a lot of entrepreneurs are out there who are looking at different strands of how to improve the whole education process, whether it's my own company of TutorVista with online tutoring, which we pioneered, or my other company, which is EduRite, which does technology in the classrooms, and we also manage a number of schools. There are a number of such, but we are just one such company. There are plenty of entrepreneurs out there who have ideas, who have the capability to come up with those solutions that can help improve access and, more importantly, help significantly improve the quality of education. Now, like Shantanu said earlier, the environment has to change so that it allows this participation. Not just in the core running of school sector where a lot of things have to change for